I'd like to start off this review by stating that Evoland is not a game for everyone. If you haven't played some of the classic games like Legend of Zelda, Final Fantasy, and Diablo, you might not get all the clever references to these games that Evoland contains. Even if you haven't, you will still enjoy the game if you like games with smart puzzles and challenging fights. Now let's jump into the story. The protagonist is a kid named Clink, a clever combination of the names Cloud and Link. Not too far into the game, you're forced to rescue a young girl named Karis who's in trouble. Her name should sound familiar to Final Fantasy VII fans. After rescuing her, she tells you that her village is in danger and that you're the only person that can help. It may sound like a typical story in games, and that's exactly the point. Evoland pays homage and pokes fun at classic games in a lighthearted way, and the story is no exception. From the heroes of the game to the antagonist, there are references everywhere. You'll run into enemies that resemble characters from a game that we all know, and a lot of NPCs appear to jump straight out of other games into this one. The best part of this game is that it's not just the characters that pay tribute to the classics. When you're on the world map, you'll fight enemies in the turn-based system, akin to Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest, while you have to use your sword, bow, and bombs to survive in forests and dungeons. You will also need these tools to solve all the game's clever puzzles. To advance through the game, you will need to clear obstacles and even travel through time to ensure you can keep going. Evoland is in every sense of the word a trip through the evolution of video games. When you first start the game, the graphics are 8-bit and colors almost non-existent. When you advance through the game, you'll find chests that allow you to listen to background music, add color to the game, and even turn the game into a full 21st century 3D. Towards the end of the game suddenly turns into a Diablo-like system for a little while, where you kill enemies for loot. This sequence includes everything you know from these games, including a new life bar and loot that may not seem all that useful. For example, you will find items that help you fight cows and that resurrect you when killed by unicorns, which obviously aren't in the game. What I found most refreshing about this game was the boss fights. The game never holds your hand or tells you what to do when things get rough. As a result, it took me several tries to take down the bosses, but it gave me satisfaction knowing that I'd done it all by myself. Evoland isn't a very long game. In fact, it took me about 3 hours to finish it all at 85% completion. It will take a little longer for completionists, as Evoland has an abundance of hidden items to find, such as stars, which serve as collectibles, and only that. Aside from that, there's chests with cards scattered around the game, which you can use to play a card game called Double Twin in town. It's a fun little game, and looking for these cards actually turned out to be quite fun and rewarding. I gladly recommend Evoland to any gaming enthusiast, as I'm sure anybody will find references in the game to be entertained by. Evoland is available on Steam from March 4th. I give Evoland an 8 out of 10.